And speaking of peaks, we are taking a quick little peek into the 2000s here on 2000s Atmosphere LE. We're, of course, in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have a blue Terran player coming out from the land of Russia, and I believe, I'd have to check, but I believe representing Starcom, we have BratOK.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the South Korean Terran player himself representing Kwangdong Freaks. It is KeeN.
I keep forgetting that's their official name now. Like, to me, they'll always be the Afrika Freaks. I'm sorry, Kwangdong.
I mean, Afrika Freaks sounds better. It, like, flows off the tongue. But at the same time, they got the dong.
They do got the dong.
Kwangdong.
They got the kwang. I heard that their official name is actually the Freaks. And, you know, Afrika was just placed there initially because they were the sponsor. And now the main sponsor is Kwangdong. So they got that a little bit. But the Freaks, yeah, you gotta have something. You gotta have something in front of that, you know, to pad it out a little.
True. Oh. Aye. So, yeah. Hopefully they're able to work on that. Maybe. Oh god. Because I remember, like, they weren't originally the Freaks. They were Afrika Freaks for a long time. Then they kind of rebranded. They got a new logo as well a couple of years ago. So it's possible.
Yeah. Quickly do want to apologize here as we were a little bit late on the predictions, but we will get them for the next series if we remember.
Oh, true. Hold on, I got a funada. Shaking my head.
SMH.
But yeah. So you can place your bets, you can place predictions, but on the next series that will be Beyond versus Demi.
Yeah, bit of a TvZ going on over there. Probably one with more interesting predictions as well, Emma. I mean, not to take away anything for our players here, but it's kind of weird predicting in a mirror matchup.
Sure. And we'll see how these two different styles clash here. We haven't really been able to talk much about the game, but so far the openers have been pretty standard, nothing too crazy, no proxies out on the map.
Here's the thing though, like, we got a coffee build versus a Nova coffee build.
Oh, explain.
BratOK, of course, so the coffee build is, you know, Mass Reaper along with Mass Hellions, and that's what KeeN is going for. It's basically what both players are going for, but with the Nova coffee build, you make one little adaptation. And that's the adaptation that BratOK made here. He made his initial Reaper, and then he made a Reactor, and then had double Reaper production.
Oh, interesting. In the end, if we quickly look at the units tab, units are actually equal here for both of our players. We do have 3 Reapers versus 2 Hellions, but BratOK is getting into his Marine production a little bit faster, so he actually does have the advantage in numbers here at home.
Yeah, it's interesting that despite the build that he went for, BratOK is playing this out a bit more defensively, but it's paying off for him. He already picks off one of the Hellions. Really great control coming out from him, and he deletes the scouting force here of KeeN. KeeN completely unable to get into the base at all, and BratOK actually not going to go for a counter scout, surprisingly.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. I assumed that he was just going to go across the map. Sure, by the time he does, it's going to be a Cyclone, but that only shuts down one of the Reapers. He can still get a full scout off. In the end, he will just kind of chill out here at home instead, but has a really nice lead early on.
Yeah, I guess he just wanted to repair the Hellion, which is not something you see every day. It does take a lot of time. It takes a little bit longer to get your units across the map here, but I guess it makes sense, you know? He really wants to make sure he has a way into the base of KeeN right now.
Exactly. He doesn't want to just throw away units as well. Meanwhile, something important that you were pointing out is the fact that KeeN, if we look at his vision, he has seen nothing. He has no idea what his opponent's doing. There's no idea if there's mech, if there's a faster TC or anything. So he is in the dark. Now finally going to be pushing out here, and it looks like this will get spotted. Oh my god, the Raven! The Raven! No!
Will get locked on by the Cyclone, but here comes 2 Cyclones of KeeN. He's actually able to keep the Raven alive.
Wow, he barely keeps the Raven alive. The double Cyclone DPS was a little bit too much there. It looked like KeeN had slipped up, and he did, but he was able to recover there, just barely.
just like that, we are back to square one.
TvT, let's go. Oh god. Meanwhile, the Cyclones are now on the prowl. They're heading across the map. The tank is currently on siege, so yo, they could. Oh, if BratOK is not careful, he may lose his Raven. He has to be so careful here with his positioning.
He is tempting KeeN so much with that building SCV, and KeeN takes the bait. Unfortunately, locks onto the Marines instead of the tank there.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a mistake there with those lock-ons, but because of that, KeeN did end up losing one of his Cyclones, and now BratOK has the map control. What's also important is that KeeN just used a lot of Raven energy at home to defend against those Reapers. There's not that much energy left here to work with if we did have a big engagement soon.
Which we'll see if that's coming down.
Yeah, I thought BratOK was gonna hit the third. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
he's just kind of.
As did I. But TvT.
Oh god. Meanwhile, it looks like KeeN is gonna try and take control of this watchtower. BratOK sees this. He's gonna reveal his hand here and clean this up. Does reveal the positioning of his army, so KeeN can also rotate in kind.
Just like so. KeeN being very vigilant when it comes to having spotters out on the map. Cyclone is harassing a bit. He's got some Marines outside of range of the Xel'Naga Tower. He's got one in a Xel'Naga Tower. He's got a couple in the peripheries of his bases. Will he get the tank? He will! And will the Cyclone live? It will!
The Cyclone lives as well, but not for long because the Ravens get thrown down. Sorry, the Autotones get thrown down. But that was some fancy micro from KeeN.
Wow. If I were BratOK right now, I'd just be, come on, man.
Look at this sweaty player try-harding here.
You know? Look at this guy.
Aye. But yeah, trading a Cyclone for a tank, take that any day of the week, mate. Any Wednesday, any Sparkling Tuna Cup. KeeN, though, still, despite having that little bit of a trade and despite evening up the tank count, still doesn't feel too confident moving out. Not yet. Oh, just kind of chilling.
Yeah. Interesting that he has this tank siege up into Xel'Naga Tower, but
yeah,
again, it makes sense. It gives him a lot of vision, and if anything comes out from there, you know, he's going to be able to shell away from it from a distance.
Yeah, like it's very common to just use Marines to take control back and forth, like this watchtower, so any handful of Marines like this one is just immediately going to get shelled away at.
Look at that. All planned.
RIP that one Marine. Meanwhile, the Viking count is slowly getting higher as well. What's important is that both players are committed into getting these Vikings. There are some players that go more medevac heavy. They kind of give up air superiority and go for like mass drops or something like that. But overall, like both players are kind of having a similar approach. I say similar, but BratOK is throwing down more factories.
Yep. Not one to shy away from mech, and KeeN will confirm this now with that scan. It'd be interesting to watch for a response here, as he was focused a lot more on building Marines for quite some time. It's gonna take a couple of add-on switches for him to switch into Marauders now.
Yeah, but that was an important scan, though. Again, the fact that KeeN is
very important.
Yeah. I do think that BratOK was doing a really good job at selling the story of just buy or tank for the first half of the game. It was a relatively late transition into mech, but yeah, it's really cool to see that KeeN is able to keep up there with that scouting, and because of that, this will no longer be a surprise. I'm just surprised that that KeeN, despite seeing that, is still kind of backing off and still kind of just chilling back at home.
Yeah, well, I guess he doesn't like his chances of, you know, if he ever were to encounter BratOK's army across the map, he doesn't quite have that critical mass, shall we say, where he can afford to roam around the map with his army and deny bases left and right. So yeah, right now he's just really working on shoring up his numbers. He's trying to max out as quickly as he can.
Yeah, like finally he makes his first handful of medevacs as well, and this is what I was waiting for. Now with his bio army, he can try and outposition and drop all over the place. He does regain control of this watchtower. BratOK is well aware of that, so he doesn't want to get caught out.
He can put tanks in the Xel'Naga Tower.
He can.
And speaking of tanks in the tower, yeah, that was a very well placed disable from BratOK.
Tank gets cleaned up. KeeN a little bit more in the dark here. Still working on his Vikings though. What's interesting is that he only made 2 medevacs. Like that's it. Then he went straight back into Viking production, so he's not going for that mass drop style.
Yeah, just sort of creating them so he can afford to stim a little bit here.
Yeah.
With his bio. You know, despite KeeN being more of the bio player here, and he is producing Marines now, he's been focusing a lot more on his air dominance, which again makes sense. You take control of the skies, you take control of everything as in a TvT. But because of it, he hasn't really, like you said, been able to move across the map and really start asserting his numbers.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Despite KeeN having so many Raxes, he's not making use of them at all. Because of how many Vikings and tanks he's producing, it's almost as if he's kind of playing mech as well in a way, as he throws down 2 more starports.
And you know what? He is on triple factory production right now. He is getting +1 ground weapons, +1 mech weapons. Maybe he is. Maybe he is planning to transition to mech after getting 2 infantry upgrades.
I mean, he has the flexibility to do so, I guess, is what we're saying. He does want to, of course, take to the skies, and now he's going to, again, roaming around trying to find any kind of free base here.
Scratch whatever I said earlier. He's producing 3 more barracks.
But yeah, but he's also getting ship upgrades as well.
But notice he's not getting vehicle armor.
Oh my god. Meanwhile, BratOK is completely out of position. His army was over at the 3rd base location, and just like that, KeeN is able to siege up and is maybe even going to be able to take down this planetary.
Yeah, 2 tanks just ain't gonna cut it when there are Ravens in the sky. Very well placed anti-armor missiles from both players, but the disables are much better for BratOK. BratOK will be able to clean this up and keep his 4th base alive, but not before losing a handful of SCVs.
Oh, 7 SCVs go down, but he lands his Vikings. He had double the Viking count of KeeN. It was insane. And KeeN didn't have his Thors. He didn't have a lot of Marines because he wasn't producing Marines. He had very little anti-air. So BratOK completely shuts down that push. Loses a CC, but mate, that's fine. Doesn't matter. You can just take another base.
Yeah, like so.
Oh. I'm so surprised how well that fight went for BratOK, despite the fact that he was not ready for it at all. Yeah. I'm surprised, despite the fact that BratOK is playing mech, he doesn't have any sensor towers at all. I just realized. Like he
has some spotters on the map, I guess, but that's not really gonna compare to the range of sensor towers.
Yeah, it's just he's playing so blind right now. It's a very scary thing to do because TvT is so heavily based off of positioning. Like again, there was a reason why he had no idea where the army was coming from, and he still won't.
Well, here's the thing though, Light. BratOK may be blind, but because of it, his other senses are now heightened.
Now he can feel his keys that much better, you know? His APM is that much higher, mate.
He can hear the footsteps of the Marines on the other side of the map.
He's literally Daredevil right now. It's crazy. What is wrong with you? Oh god.
You're asking me that now? How long have we known each other?
Well, with these spotters, he is going to be able to see this army. Like, once again, completely out of position. He's going to be rotating around from the other side of the map. Because this, he's a little bit too slow. But thankfully, the tanks are a little bit tentative. It takes them a while to really get within range of any kind of base.
Yeah, even now, there's only 1 tank that's in range of that planetary fortress. KeeN has full eyes on the army of BratOK. He knows he's kind of in the middle of the map here, but does he have the ability to collapse on top of it? He very well may.
Yeah, he has a bit of an army here back at home. Meanwhile, the rest of it is actually going for a counterattack. KeeN is not turning around, and BratOK, neither is BratOK.
Yeah, but I gotta say, I think I like KeeN's defenses quite a bit more. This is a really good choke point to utilize. He's got the tanks. Sure, they're getting disabled, but there's not really an easy way for BratOK to make it up this ramp, even with all of those tanks.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the bottom right-hand bases are being taken out here. KeeN is doing so much damage across the map, and BratOK is really struggling to get up this ramp, and he can't get into the natural.
Yeah, forced to turn around after getting no damage, pretty much. Loses his base. He's about to lose another one as well. The repairs were good until all of the SCVs got taken out. BratOK loses 2 bases and a mineral line.
Like, I thought that maybe with the Raven superiority for BratOK, he was going to be able to, like, disable and force his way up the ramp, but there were too many Marines, you know? I feel like KeeN has recognized his downfall and is actually making use of his Raxes. He made a bio army, a buffer here to stop the tanks in their tracks.
Yeah, now that he has no more use for a bio army, he is taking to the skies full force, producing Ravens, he's producing Vikings, he's, most importantly, producing Liberators. I don't believe he has a fusion core, so these will be vanilla Liberators, but you know, despite that, they still have +1 ship weapons, so they're still pretty good.
They do. Meanwhile, the tanks here back at home are exposed. We see a stim on 4, 3 of them get taken out immediately. BratOK is going to try and hold the line here. With these Ravens, he should be able to. There we go. We do see some disables just in time.
Yeah, but there's still a couple of tanks in range of the army of BratOK that haven't been disabled, and you know, because of that, BratOK isn't able to take advantage and get rid of all these tanks. He loses another base and another 15 SCVs. He's reciprocating a little bit of damage now, taking out that planetary fortress of KeeN, but KeeN just expands to BratOK's side of the map.
Exactly. KeeN, he loses a base, but he gains a base towards the bottom right-hand side, and BratOK can't really do much about that. He does have a bit of a small force here, and if he had eyes on this, then he could punish it, but at the moment, he doesn't. Again, he's blind, remember?
Yeah. And his scent isn't really working for him right now.
He's blind and it's spring right now, so you know he can't really smell either. Oh god.
Deaf as well, and somebody put gloves on him so he can't feel.
Oh god. But we'll see, because BratOK, he's rotating around towards the bottom right hand side of the map. He still has a lot of Ravens, so there's still a lot of potential here with his army, a lot of energy to work with.
Yeah, and that's how he makes use of it. Disable some Liberators here. Very nicely done. Anti-armor missile will prevent the air army of KeeN from advancing any further, but now BratOK's getting anti-armored.
Yeah, he is. A bit of a fun fact. We have 12 Ravens for BratOK against 0 for KeeN. The auto turrets are thrown down as well. Tanks are on siege, but again, it's all about the battle in disguise, and it looks like BratOK will take that fight.
Yeah, he loses a couple of Vikings, and he loses a couple of tanks, but he has secured his air dominance for now. Unable to really push into that planetary entrench position of KeeN, and KeeN's taking advantage of that to regroup and go for a bit of a counterattack.
Yeah, meanwhile, it looks like BratOK has spotted the base towards the bottom right, so he will take down this Nexus. At the same time, though, can he defend here back at home as KeeN goes for a little bit of a run-by?
It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to. A run-by with tanks is such a funny image, but that's exactly what KeeN is doing right now.
Yeah, meanwhile, across the map, BratOK tried to push up this ramp once again, but he just couldn't. KeeN has eyes on everything. Again, the power of the sensor tower, he just sees wherever the army of BratOK goes. And because of that, he just can't find a way in. He cannot break into any of these defensive like positions.
Yeah, sight is a pretty important sense, I'm realizing now.
It is.
You don't want to neglect your eyes.
We rely on it so much, mate, and I mean, the run by will get cleaned up, and only 2 SCVs go down, but again, BratOK is getting pulled apart. He just doesn't see these run bys whenever they come, and he just can't punish it. Yeah,
now he's forced to lift a couple of his orbital commands and utilize them as mining bases. Because of that, he's even less defended in sort of fringe areas of his bases. A massive sim fort of Marauders and Marines will absolutely obliterate the tank count. There's still plenty of disguise right now for BratOK, but what are those Vikings going to do against the Marines?
What are they going to do against tanks, mate? Like, the Vikings have nothing to do right now. Meanwhile, you know, tanks are being a little bit annoying here across the map. You know, BratOK is doing some damage, but he's falling apart. He's running out of his bank. He is running out of money.
Yeah, he's running out of money even quicker here, as KeeN just prevents any expansions out here from BratOK. I gotta say, this style from KeeN, it's one you don't see too often. You normally see bio into mech, and sometimes after that into bio. KeeN has gone bio into mech, into bio into mech, into bio into mech, and back into bio. Yeah. And now he's playing back into mech again.
He keeps bouncing back and forth between like bio Marauder and then like Thor tank, and now he's going into Ravens, which is like the late game army you want. BratOK was trying to rush there with his own Ravens, but he was never really able to make use of them. He was never able to get those disables and break through these siege lines. KeeN was just always where he needed to be, and another planetary goes down.
Yeah, speaking of where he needs to be, I think this is pretty much going to be the last hurrah here of BratOK. A massive round of auto turrets get thrown down. You know, actually, surprisingly, he has been able to reproduce his army pretty decently up until now. He's really struggling. He's really struggling to produce now, but it's just surprising to me that he was able to quote-unquote remax, even despite taking a lot of economic losses earlier on.
Yeah, but as you said, like, the loss of all those Vikings is kind of it here. Now KeeN, for the first time this game, has the higher Viking count. He can kind of force himself forward. There are a lot of Ravens, and there's always the potential, but another CC goes down as well. Ay, ay, ay.
And once again, BratOK just can't make use of all these Ravens. Not with the Viking count that KeeN's got.
Exactly. It's arguably wasted supply. Like, obviously they can throw down auto turrets and they can still influence a big fight, but nowhere near as they otherwise could if they did have like that kind of that buffer of Vikings.
Yeah, the auto turrets are definitely very, very useful in the fight, but the problem is BratOK has no way to initiate that fight right now. He's the ball is so far in KeeN's court at the moment.
Exactly, as the army towards the right-hand side was just cleaned up. BratOK, this is his last standing army. He's been slowly working on this Raven count the entire game, and it is pretty high. Again, auto turrets do a lot, but in a head-on engagement, I don't think it's going to really work out. He's going for kind of a pseudo-base trade, going to try and take out these two bases towards the top left, but there's nothing stopping KeeN. There's nothing stopping it. Ah.
Yeah. He stems on for it once again. The tanks delete another mineral line. KeeN is losing a lot of SCVs as well, but the main difference is he had a bank. He can afford to lose his SCVs in favor of getting an even bigger army.
Yeah, he should be able to. BratOK now down to one mining base. This is it. KeeN as well is mining out a little bit here, and he also has one mining base. Oh my god, not anymore.
Blue Flame Hellions really asserting themselves.
Yeah, like, because that BratOK takes a bit of a worker lead, armies are still not quite clear. KeeN has a lot of firepower, but BratOK has a lot of Ravens. Like, can BratOK still do this despite being down in army supply? Like, down in supply overall?
There's a chance for him. There's a chance. Maybe if he gets all the disables out and the auto turrets. Oh, but KeeN turns around.
Oh my god. Like, this is still kind of up in the air. Like Ravens can be deceptive.
Yeah.
Like, this army can be cleaned up. There's not a lot here. Let's go.
It really, really is. And KeeN has a higher supply, but his army is split up right now.
Yeah.
He's losing a lot of his tanks. He's trying to stand his ground over here, and he will, but just like that, the army supplies are getting more and more even.
Yeah, exactly. He has to be careful not to use too many of these turrets. Like, he has to be very careful with how he spends his energy, because that is keeping him in this game right now. Vikings are coming in, though. They're coming in. Ah.
They're coming in. Auto turrets are getting thrown down by BratOK. I thought KeeN might try to throw down a couple of himself, but yeah, just not to be.
Exactly. Meanwhile, we do see KeeN expanding here towards the bottom right. Same can be said for BratOK towards the top left. They both take mirrored bases. Once again, though, KeeN is going for these run-bys, and I don't know if BratOK can defend. We do see a big engagement, though.
And this time it is going in favor of BratOK, but only slightly. That was a much better trade overall for KeeN than for BratOK, and he's been forcing a lift off in the one mining base.
Oh no, the Ravens! The Ravens are going down!
Very nice snipes here for KeeN. And he still has his ground army to contest with, don't get me wrong, but yeah, just like that, BratOK's forces have gotten a lot less scary.
Yeah, the Ravens were keeping him in this game, but with the death of the Ravens, that is the death of BratOK. Everything gets cleaned up. Two armies here for KeeN, and he's winning on both fronts.
Yeah, this planetary fortress will prevent KeeN from getting further ground, but it doesn't really matter in the end. GG is called. KeeN takes game number 1, proving that you gotta see to win.
GG, well played. KeeN takes game number 1. As you were saying though, mate, that was only game 1, and that was pretty spicy. That was pretty close at a lot of times there.
Yeah, BratOK didn't handicap himself by not getting sensor towers. We could be seeing a very different outcome.
We could have, like, oh god. Again, if he did have some sensor towers down, every single engagement, every single run by, he would have been that much more prepared for it. We would have seen a different game, but yeah, despite that though, like even without all those sensor towers, like that was a good game. That was a good game.
Yeah. A very active one, which we're not used to seeing too often in a TvT. And I forgot that I'm supposed to be making the lobbies. Yeah.
All good, all good, all good. We are getting ready for.
Wait, what's up? Are we supposed to put it on US West?
I believe we alternate. Game 1 was West. Game 2 is Central.
All right, then.
West, Central, West.
Throw that down.
But yes, we are going to be diving into game number 2, and again, it's still kind of hard to call here. Game 1 could have gone either way. So I'm excited to see. Personally, I hope we see an ace match, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we definitely shall. If I know KeeN, though, I know that when he does get a little bit of a fort position here, he loves to try to end it quick.
He does. Oh boy, but here we go. The map is set. The server has been selected, and we are loading in to game 2.
Número dos.
Número dos, mate. Número dos. Oh boy. And I wonder if BratOK is going to go for a similar style again. You know, we saw Mech in game 1. Do we want to see it again? Do we want to see him whip out his bio play?
I would.
Yeah.
Switch it up a little bit, but yeah, you know. We'll see what calls to him right now. As we continue our series here on Pride of Altares, ESL. ESL, of course, standing for Energy Sync Life. We're in the top left-hand corner of the map, swinging all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have the blue Terran player coming out from the land of Russia. He is, of course, going to be representing Team Starcom. We have BratOK.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Pride of Altares LE, we have the South Korean Terran player. He is red, representing Kwangdong Freaks. It is KeeN. Now we're here with Observer++.
Yeah, we can see what they're looking at. Well, I guess in BratOK's case, he's not looking at anything.
Oh god. Aye. I mean, that can all change here, you know, in game number 2. You know, I'm sure he's aware of his strengths and weaknesses, and he's looking to make up for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an explosive game 1, mate.
It really was. One that I wasn't really expecting to, again, come out of a mirror matchup like a TvT, especially against BratOK and KeeN, but yeah, they both were vying back and forth for map control throughout pretty much the entire time, and at times BratOK came out ahead, at times KeeN came out ahead, but in the end it just felt like KeeN was, 1, trading better, and 2, mining much more.
Exactly, and I think something to emphasize there is that because of those like small advantages, like, you know, like BratOK, he can tighten things up and then also, you know, come out on top and go to the ace match, right? Like there are like these little things, you know, that he was lacking in, but they are little things that can be worked on over the course of a series. So yeah, we'll see, because again, BratOK, he had a very impressive army. He was very like Sky Mech or Sky Terran dominant as well. He was able to like really dominate fights, but he was never able to really outposition KeeN and really kind of make full use of his Ravens. You were talking about it. We were waiting for like a big move where he comes in, he disables all the tanks, and then he just sieges on the army. But that was never able to really happen.
Yeah, every single time a fight happened, you know, KeeN had the advantage from the very start just by virtue of being in a position that BratOK wasn't in.
Yeah.
You never want to underestimate sight.
It's pretty good, mate. It's pretty good. Map awareness in general is amazing here in StarCraft. Oh, but
I wish I had some.
Oh god, Yaku, please, not like this. Yaku, not like this. Meanwhile, once again, we have similar openers. This time, the armies actually miss each other, and as a result, KeeN is going to get into the base first.
Yeah, KeeN has much less when it comes to the scouting force, but it hits a lot earlier, and it hits at a time where BratOK is not in position to deal with it once again. He may actually... Okay, unable to get a lay on the natural base, but at the very least, he gets those SCVs. He's getting even more now! BratOK chasing down these Reapers, and that's exactly what KeeN wants to happen. BratOK gonna be looking to reciprocate the damage. He actually has a lot here to be able to put the hurt on KeeN.
Yeah.
KeeN has a couple of Marines.
Exactly. He's kind of evening up the SCV count. He wasn't able to lay the CC either, but more SCVs are falling left and right, but they're also falling for BratOK across the map. Oh, God.
Is it? Okay, the Cyclone is here. I was really worried for a second. I thought this might be how it all ends, but no, our defense is not enough for both players. But because of the openings, funnily enough, KeeN does pull out ahead in the SV count, but also we're kind of back to square one. It feels like whatever build they were both going for is just delayed by so much.
But I like how we had like an intense back and forth out positioning macro TvT in game 1, and in game 2, both of them just ape it up, and they just they just avoid each other's armies, and now KeeN is going across the map for the kill move. Look at that SCV count for BratOK. It's almost non-existent, mate.
Yeah, the SCV count being decimated this early on also means that he doesn't have an army count whatsoever to speak of. He's got an army supply of 13, and I think about 1/3 of that is in this Viking that's across the map.
Yep, pretty much.
Really, yeah,
the Vikings are going to be doing too much. Meanwhile, the army has been sorted. We do have a lock on, and it looks like BratOK will shoot first, but the disable!
Very nicely done here from KeeN, and now there's nothing preventing him from getting into the natural base. For a sec, I thought he might try to get into the main base, but KeeN is playing it safe.
Yeah, exactly. He wants a kill. Here we go. GG gets called, and just like that, KeeN takes game number 2 and the series.
What I tell you, Light, when KeeN is ahead in the best of series, he just wants to end it one way or another going into the next couple of maps. And in this case, man, we were really hyped for BratOK. He kept up with KeeN so much in the macro game. But in the end, KeeN decides, one, I may have won that macro game, but I don't want to risk it again. I'm just gonna... Yeah.
He's like, you know what? You're pretty good. Like, but what if I turn up the aggression on this blind old man? You know, just oh my god, he didn't hold back at all.
Yeah, that was brutal. We gotta call social services.
Regardless, again, GG well played to BratOK, but unfortunately, in the early game when there's so much chaos ensuing, it does seem as if KeeN has the advantage there, and he was able to just abuse that fact. BratOK, again, wanted to get into a longer game and just couldn't get there.